Shed in Totnes to tell us a bit about her project and the first mobile library of things there.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us this afternoon. Hope you're all well and healthy. I'd like to share my screen because I've got some photos to show you. Is that working all right? Yes, okay. So, yeah, I work at the Network of Wellbeing, which is a charity working towards people's quality of life, resilience, sustainable planet. And the Share Shed was a project that came up out of me being inspired by the chef shop in Frome, Somerset, here in the UK, and thinking it's just like, what a great idea. And that's how we started 3.5 years ago. So I would like to begin by get you guys thinking that, if you look at an electric drill, how long do you think it's actually gets used in its lifetime? The unfortunate statistics is up to 13 minutes in its whole lifetime. So when I learned that, I was really shocked, and it got me thinking, it's just like, where I live, how many houses around me, including my own place, does have an electric drill sitting down in the garage. And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And the idea of us, shifting this awareness from like, I need an electric drill to I need a hole in my wall to put a picture up. And that's that, and how we can do things differently. So we began the Share Shed here in Totnes in South Devon, 2013. We firstly opened this picture on the left is in a garage. Our town council very kindly let us use free of charge. So to begin with, as a 6-month pilot, the National Lottery Fund also has been a very key supporter of our work. And that's how we put the word out. We had the survey in which we would people both online and also we have a very popular market here in town every week. So we would, oh, can you hear me? My internet just said it's unstable, which is not helpful. Okay, cool. And we would ask people, what would you like? Would you use this service? If so, what would you like to borrow? And if anything, then could you donate? Do you have anything that you no longer use that is in good working order and you could donate to us? And just like that, in a matter of 2 months, we gathered 150 items. And that goes to show, how abundant the community is. We also recruited from that initial survey a lot of our volunteers, still to today. So that was the beginning of our journey. We eventually moved to the office of the Network of Wellbeing when we had to let go of the garage for the council to use it again. And that was actually a very good learning for us, because Totnes is a very small town, 8,500 people, and it's one of those towns where the high street is very basically. And this garage was just like 15, 20 away off the high streets. And yet, by moving to our office and having stall outside it, because it was very hidden in a building. So we decided to have a stall outside where we could, talk with people and promote the project. The numbers of members and loans really increased, so that was a very important learning from us in terms of if you're thinking of setting up such a similar project, location, is very key. Be where people are naturally, organically. And here you can see our aims. So ultimately, it's about supporting a more I always have trouble saying that word, and sustainable lifestyle, help people save money, space, and resources, reduce clutter. As I said, all these people who, still to the date, we have nowadays over 350 items. I would say 95% of them have been donated. So these are things that have been in people's garage for ages, perhaps not in use. So it's helping people reduce clutter and making this bridge, between people who have got this stuff lying around there, as well as those who are wanting it. So a good example of it is that we have our wish list. And, whenever someone comes to us and asks for something that we haven't got, we add that to the wish list, which is on our website. And every now and then we share it on social media. And then it's really, magic, like how always someone's like, oh, I've got these, I've got that, here it is. It's just there. So, and this is lovely to be able to facilitate that. And also inspire people to engage in social change. And that's an important aspect, because it's not about people just using our services per se, it's about people reviewing their relationship with consumerism and stuff, basically. Eventually, we learned that quite few people coming to us in Totnes were from the surrounding towns. And that made us think, what if we went there instead? And very luckily, we were invited to apply for a pot of money from the National Lottery Funds, Community Funds, last year, called the People's Project, in which people had to vote for us and that kind of thing. And we were very, incredibly lucky that we did get the funds, and we were able to set up, which is the very first mobile library of things in the world. Thankfully, nowadays, there are many, many similar projects like ours popping up all over it, which is great. The more, the merrier. And as far as we know, and we've done quite a bit of research, no one has tried to do that in, using a vehicle with like completely made for it. And we were very happy that we finally were able to launch in July after being closed because of lockdown, obviously, and expand our services too. So we basically have the majority of our items, including the most popular ones, in this van that was completely built for purpose, bespoke kind of project. And we also have a little garage in Totnes where we keep the very large items like a car roof box or a wheelbarrow, that kind of thing. That's not very popular. And bicycles, when every now and then when people want it, they can reserve it online, and then we put in the van and take to the community. And yeah, this is just a bit more of the inside of the van. And we have this solar panel, which is great. Again, if someone's thinking of setting up such a similar project, a good learning is to have, some power in the van, a socket, just so you can plug, for instance, a streamer to take out, which is helpful for the member. And just clarify the way it works, essentially, in how we raise some income for the project, is that everyone who wants to use our items, they have to become a member to begin with, and they can join either in person or online. They fill in a form, agree with terms and conditions, which is very important, and make a donation between £5 to £50 for a whole year of membership. And that's our way to make things very affordable and inclusive. and also as well as raise an income. And then the item has a cost, and that refers to a week-long loan, and that's very nominal cost. And the reason why we say borrow, don't buy, rather than hire, is because it's so minimum, and it's a not-for-profit project, and it's literally to raise a bit of income to keep the project going. So at the moment, we are serving 4 different towns, which are Totnes, Ashburton, Buckfastleigh, and South Brent. And Buckfastleigh is the only town where we have 2 stops at the moment, which we are trialing. Before we opened, we hosted community consultations in all of the towns, which is a very important step to check in with people if that's, because sometimes we think it's a great idea, but ultimately, if people are not interested, there's no much point. And also to gather really feedback. So in Buckfastleigh, because it's a very hilly town, people were saying, I live at this end of town. If I wanted to borrow a lawnmower and I haven't got a car, I can't carry it, up the hill and stuff. So this is why we decided we are learning big time as we are doing it. And that's why we have 2 stops. So I want to share with you a few examples of, our members using our items. So Suzanne here bought our pressure washer, which is a very popular item to clean her patio. And she was so glad that she was able to do that. It made such a difference, she said, I wouldn't have bought it because it's quite, it's 150 pounds. Plus it's quite bulky to keep in the garage, just you want to do that once a year. And yeah, she was very happy about it. And equally was Mark, who very last minute was about to go away and found out his suitcase didn't meet the requirements of the airline and came to us completely desperate. And we just happened to have the very right suitable suitcase. And it was really nice because then he sent this photo from his travels. It's like, thanks guys. And it's just, really great to be able to provide this kind of service. It's very rewarding. Just to give you here a bit of an idea, as I said, we have at the moment almost 400 items. We're at 900. I checked today, coincidentally, almost 1,000 members, which is great. And in total, we've had now 1,600 loans throughout time since we began. And assuming, which we don't know obviously what would have happened, but assuming that those who came to us and borrowed our things would have otherwise bought it from B&Q or Amazon or kind of some standard place like that, we estimate that people have saved over £50,000, which is a lot of money, in terms of the benefits were kind of, as well as saving a lot of resource, a lot of money too. We are very grateful to our amazing volunteers, which the moment are of over 20 people. And without whom we wouldn't be able to run and operate as well, really. Just wanted to share, out of curiosity, the most popular items here. We've also learned that there is a bit of seasonality to it, so our camping gear is very popular in the summer for sure, and whereas now it's not so much. and whilst all the hedge trimmers are out, the rakes. So there's this learning to, about seasons. And at the same time, carpet cleaner in this country is by far the most popular one. So here a few more examples, and just also to show a little bit of the variety of items. So I'm just trying to see what time it is, because I'm just keeping track of time. I can't quite see at the same time.
We had quite a few, loads of questions actually, Mirella. So maybe like a few more minutes and then we can go to some of the questions.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. That I can't see the chat box, which is great because I can't multitask. So I just try to speed up. So just to give you, because of, this lovely family from Japan, actually, they are just visiting town. They decided to go camping because the weather was so great. Didn't have anything, obviously, it wasn't planned. And they came to us and they were so appreciative. They bought like from the tents to sleeping bags to camping stoves to camping chairs, like everything. They were just sorted to go, and in a very affordable way. And they used it, they had their adventure, came to us, returned things, and that was that, great. Here we have Phil, who borrowed our lawnmower, very popular item too, as well as he's carrying in his shoulders these drain rods, to clean like chimneys and stuff. And also, it is just more for fun, but Andy here bought our unicycle, so we have a variety of things. And yeah, just thought of mentioning here for those who are really keen to set up similar initiative, and just to say, we see that as part of our mission. As I said, Froome inspired us, the project in Froome, and it's a mutual learning. So I'm always happy to be contacted if anyone is very serious about setting one up, to check in and answer any questions. So create a team. It's much more work than I ever expected to be. So, whilst there's a lot of enthusiasm, long term, it's very important to have a lot of others to share the loads. Checking with the community and those who are wanting to serve, both to see if they actually wanted to use the service as well as to gather support. So identify partners. I saw there was someone here from Repair Cafe, which is great. There are some overlaps in terms of our ethos and our missions. So who can be potential partners with this idea? Structure of the project. Each project seems to have a unique structure. As I said, we happen to be a project of a charity, but there are social, there are CICs, so it really depends. Funding, I have to say it's we are not at all sustainable at the moment. After 3.5 years, we are heading that way, and that's our dream. And yet, that's an ongoing kind of dance, let's say, in terms of making the projects affordable and inclusive, because ultimately it's about people having access to things that they can't afford otherwise. And yet it's about also how can we sustain it long-term. Location, which I've mentioned, put a call for items, they are always around. Systems to set up and to kind of help manage it. We use something called Land Engine, and there's something called My Turn. These are the two ones I'm aware of that are very, very similar. And again, if you have questions about it, I can talk more about it. And yeah, promotion, there's, again, ongoing. There's never enough expressing the words. Share and celebrate, a very important step when you're doing such a thing, very important step. And here, just want to give you an example of what else we're doing as Share Sheds. So in 2018, we've organized this Share Fest event, a whole day full of activities, workshops, skill shares, a repair cafe, Christmas jumper swap. So all these things around, how can we consume differently and be more resourceful and collaborate more. We were due to host another one actually this week, but obviously it's not happening. And instead we're hosting a webinar. But yeah, that was great. And we had over 800 people. This goes to show, how popular and the demand for it. This year in February, The world turns on. It's called the Big Fix, which was a UK-wide campaign. And, just to give an idea that the weather here in Totnes was absolutely wild, like really crazy. And yet we had such a great turnout. And in just over 3 hours, the event was held between 10 and 1. We had 92 items looked at by skillful volunteers and menders, of which 76 were repaired, which is an incredible number. 9 were repairable but needed spare parts, and only 7 were beyond repair. So it just highlights this need for us to, both provide the opportunity for people to access this kind of thing in an affordable, fair way, as well as, the demand for us to think, oh, this broke, I'll just go and buy another one if I can, if I'm in the privileged position to afford, but, try to repair it. And I'll just take this opportunity to invite you to this event we are doing instead of the Chef Fest. As I said, we are hosting this webinar this coming Tuesday, free, and you can find more details on our Facebook event page. Last but not least, for those who are in the UK and everywhere up supermarkets, we have the causes they are supporting. So if you're a member, please, you can choose us to support, and then a bit of your expense will be donated to us, which we really appreciate. And just my contact details if you have any questions, further questions beyond this session, feel free to contact me.
Thank you so much, Mirella.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. And I believe, great, here we are back. I believe Katie also put in the your Facebook page in the chat, and there you can also contact Mirella, especially if there were any very specific questions from similar projects. So we just had a quick look at the questions. We have a few more minutes left. So one of the themes which we could read out of the questions was around safety. And I'm sure this question you have been asked this question many times. Like, how do you deal with safety around the items you're borrowing, especially electrical items, but also are you including any instructions how to safely use some of those items? And then lastly, also, obviously, we are living through some unusual times with COVID. So how have you reacted to that, and how had this impacted your project?
Okay, so safety, all the electric items are PAT tested every year. So that's to see if cables and plugs are all working and safely. We test things very often too, and make sure they are in good working condition. Obviously, as they're all things donated by people, which have already been used. Although incredibly, we still sometimes get brand new stuff, but that's not the point. Just like it's bound to break. So that's a thing we have to deal with. 99% of people are absolutely understanding of that kind of context. And we don't have anything like really hardcore. I would say the main, perhaps most dangerous tool we have, it's mitre saw. You have to know what you're doing there. Beyond that, you also have terms and conditions in insurance, but basically if someone's used a hedge trimmer and chop their finger off, we are not liable, and that's important because but obviously we have to guarantee that's in a good working condition. So that's up to us to make sure that we test things ongoingly. In terms of COVID's first lockdown, we were closed throughout it. And we had to really up our game around cleaning things. It's obviously physical distancing. So we disinfect things. We either leave things in quarantine for 3 days or disinfect the item entirely. everyone's wearing face covers, everyone has to hand sanitize their hands before they come in the van. All those things, pens are separate, used pens, clean pens, that kind of thing. Second lockdown, we had the option to continue open on a click and collect basis, but we decided not to. And that was a personal call, because in the sense that the vast majority of our volunteers are over 65 years old. And I personally didn't feel it was worth the risk, considering that unfortunately in our community, the COVID cases are increasing considerably, maybe because tests are more available than the first time around, but now we're much more aware of positive cases around here. So we are closed at the moment, hoping to reopen the 3rd of December, still keeping things as clean as possible.
Great. Thank you so much, Mirella. So we're coming to the end of our very short half an hour. I'm pretty sure people would have liked to chat a bit more with you and hear a bit more about your project. But just, check out the links that Katie shared in the website to find a bit more out about what's happening in Totnes and the Shed project there. And just to say, yes, thank you so much for joining. If you could spare 2 minutes for our really short survey to let us know what you thought about this session, and if you want to see more or less of this kind of content, then that would be much appreciated. And obviously go back to our main festival page to find out what other sessions there will be happening later on today, but also we are on all day tomorrow and continuing with our Festival of Discovery. So thank you so much for joining, and we're hoping to see you at another session soon.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.